If you consult my Legend of Zelda NES review, you'll find a person that responds to game design where it allows the player to have a relationship with the environment, where adventure is at your pace and your progression, and discovery is a major aspect of the fun. And Sable, a 2021 title, is that sort of thing for me. Possibly my game of the year for 2021 if I ever get around to playing other games of 2021. But this was really special for me. Sable is a coming of age story regarding identity with a non-linear experience so the player can have their own developments. The story is about gliders who are children who come of age to decide what kind of occupation or role in the world they want to play. You go around the world, see how that world is and the lore and all that stuff, and you receive badges by the different occupations and tribes and all that until you can form a mask of that specific job. You collect masks, and at the end of the game, you decide what mask you identify with the most. Its main parallel in gameplay would probably be Zelda Breath of the Wild. And for that, I think it does an amazing job with focus. What Sable does is it removes combat. So this means that Sable has a more fleshed out view of the world and the puzzles within and the environments. It's sparse like Breath of the Wild. So there's vast stretches of desert or plains and mountains and all that. With not a lot there in the moment-to-moment gameplay. But personally, I don't mind this sort of thing in an open world. I think the expansiveness helps with the scope. It's not always better to have a smaller, more dense environment when solitude is a major aspect of the game. You're not meant to find everything, every 2 steps. Instead, you're meant to wander and stumble into these things. And the game does a really good job with this, and it does a really good job with leading curiosity. Visually, I think it's a unique style that should be further explored. I particularly liked the line work, and the coloring made a unique sense of cell shading. My biggest complaint with the aesthetic would not even be that harsh, it's just part of it. In the darkness, the way it renders shade is not through actual shading, but with dulling of the color. So if you're in like a really pitch dark room, you see everything in the room, it's just a singular block of color. This really works with inside temples and caves, but it works less when night falls in the open fields. And they're not particularly beautiful or striking unless in that open field there's something that like glows on the horizon, which is not always a guarantee. Because of the lack of combat, gameplay becomes morphed intrinsically to how you interact with the environment. Not only do you climb and glide around navigating the ruins of the Lost Worlds, but you also fly around in a hover bike and whiz by. You stumble into unique puzzles with interactions. Some aren't even signposted to you, and you just have to intuitively guess. And then with those guesses, you are rewarded. This organic sense of reward really lends a beauty and grace to it all. The removal of combat, allows the rewards to be proper and not half-hearted. Because like in Breath of the Wild, for instance, there would be a lot of items that are really innately tied to combat, and because of that, they would have to have a weapon degradation system. Or like for here, the currency is well designed to be tight and well valued, but it's not impossible to get. It's just a proper reward. And every time you receive or reward, everything you get feels instrumental to some sort of progression, even if you aren't sure what the progression is yet. And that progression is the main appeal of Sable. It's that journey. The aimlessness is part of the brand. You can end the game after only receiving 1 mask, and I haven't finished the game yet, but I don't want to finish the game. My identity is not a cartographer that maps out areas. It's not a scavenger that seeks every bit of loot. I'm not done with 1 mask. No, I feel like I want to play the game fully and explore all of what the world has to offer. And that's not because I'm a completionist either. I am on the verge of discovering always. That's where I want to be, and that's what the game is all about. I would highly recommend Sable, and it is available on Microsoft Game Pass. I would recommend purchasing the game as well. It's worth every penny. It's that good. This is a micro review, and thanks everybody.